The following 7 expressions of inner beauty have very little to do with perfection. They are not rules for becoming more attractive, and they are not another list of standards you must satisfy before you are allowed to love yourself. They are ways in which self-love becomes visible in ordinary life. Beauty appears in your attention, your pace, your ability to listen, and the way your body feels in your presence. It appears when you no longer enter every room asking, "How am I being judged?" It appears when you become available to the moment instead of continually performing for approval. Beauty is not something I must earn. It is a quality of life already expressing through me. Many people stand before a mirror and immediately search for something to correct. They look at the skin, hair, weight, shape, age, or marks left by time. The mirror becomes an inspection station rather than a place of recognition. You may have practiced this habit for so many years that you no longer notice its cruelty. Before you see your eyes, you see the line beside them. Before you greet your body, you measure it against an image created to make ordinary human variation feel inadequate. Yet you are not a collection of features waiting to pass an examination. Your beauty is also the atmosphere you carry into a room. It is the warmth another person feels when you listen without preparing your reply. It is the gentleness in your hands when you care for your body. It is the steadiness of someone who does not need to become smaller or louder in order to deserve presence. When your inner life is nourished, the outer expression often softens naturally. Your jaw releases. Your eyes become less guarded. Your posture no longer apologizes for occupying space. When I stop performing beauty, I allow my natural presence to become visible. You do not have to reach a new physical standard before self-love may begin. Love is not a trophy awarded after the body changes. Love is the environment in which the body can be cared for wisely. Hatred may produce temporary control, but it rarely creates a peaceful relationship with nourishment, movement, health, or rest. When you approach the body as an enemy, every act of care becomes punishment. When you approach it as a living companion, care becomes cooperation. The first expression of inner beauty is the ability to stop fighting time and return to the present. How often do you say, "There is never enough time"? Notice what happens in the body when you repeat this sentence. The shoulders lift, the breath becomes shallow, the mind races ahead while the hands remain in the present task. You answer one message while thinking about another. You eat while planning, listen while composing a reply, and finish one obligation only to accuse yourself of not completing 5 more. A mind that is always rushing toward the next moment cannot fully receive the life occurring in this one. The number of hours in a day is limited, and affirmations do not make the clock obey us. When I say, "Time is my servant, and I use it wisely," I am speaking about the relationship you create with time. Your experience changes according to your attention, expectations, and choices. When you are calm, you can identify what matters. When you are panicked, even a simple task feels like evidence that you are falling behind. The clock may be the same, but your participation is entirely different. Sometimes "I have no time" actually means I have agreed to more than my current capacity can carry. Sometimes it means that attention is being divided across too many interruptions. Sometimes it means you have estimated a task according to hope rather than reality. And sometimes the sentence protects you from admitting that something is not a priority. None of these discoveries requires shame. They require an honest relationship with capacity. Do not try to control every minute. Learn to care for energy and focus. Some tasks require your clearest hours. Others can be completed when energy is lower. Some obligations belong to you, and others were accepted because saying no felt uncomfortable. Some goals are meaningful, and others survive only because abandoning them would disappoint an earlier version of you. I make room for what matters by releasing what no longer deserves equal importance. Each morning, choose 3 sufficient tasks. The first is one important action that meaningfully moves work, responsibility, or a valued goal forward. The second maintains daily life, preparing food, paying a bill, caring for the home, attending an appointment, or responding to something necessary. The third nourishes your inner life, reading, walking, creating, talking with someone you love, sitting quietly, or engaging in a simple pleasure. These 3 tasks are not the only things you may do. They establish enoughness before the day becomes crowded. Anything beyond them can be additional rather than proof that you are finally productive enough. At the end of the day, do not judge your worth according to the longest possible list. Ask whether you gave honest attention to what mattered. My completed tasks describe part of my day. They do not determine the value of my being. When interruptions occur, return without insulting yourself. A distracted hour does not require a distracted day. An unexpected demand may change the plan without proving that you failed. Adjust the list. Move what can wait. Ask for support where appropriate. Time used wisely includes the ability to respond to reality rather than forcing reality to obey a schedule created under different conditions. Try doing one thing at a time for several minutes. When writing, write. When listening, listen. When eating, notice the meal. When resting, stop using rest to rehearse the work you are not doing. Presence reduces the mental cost of repeatedly switching between unfinished activities. It also returns texture to the day. I have enough time for what truly matters today. I move calmly, clearly, and fully through this present moment. The second expression of inner beauty is allowing yourself to rest before exhaustion gives you no other choice. Many people have learned to treat fatigue as evidence of usefulness. They push until the body produces a headache, the mind loses patience, or every ordinary request feels unbearable. Only then do they permit themselves to stop. But rest offered only after collapse is not a reward. It is emergency maintenance. Continuous work can create the sensation of productivity while gradually reducing the quality of thought. The mind becomes less flexible. Creativity narrows. Small difficulties produce disproportionate frustration. You may remain at the desk longer while accomplishing less. A short break can interrupt this decline. It allows the eyes to change focus, the body to shift position, and attention to return with greater freshness. Rest does not steal time from meaningful work. It helps restore the person who performs it. There is no perfect rule that fits every body and every form of work. Some people benefit from brief pauses at regular intervals. Others need longer periods of concentration followed by a more substantial break. Physical labor, caregiving, creative work, screen work, and emotionally demanding conversations do not exhaust the body in identical ways. Observe yourself. Notice the first signs that quality is decreasing. Perhaps you reread the same sentence, become unusually irritable, lose physical comfort, or begin reaching for constant distraction. These are invitations to pause before depletion becomes severe. Do not wait for a headache before drinking water. Do not wait until anger spills onto another person before stepping away from the screen. Do not wait until every activity feels meaningless before permitting a day off. If you require total exhaustion as proof that rest is deserved, the body learns that its quiet signals will be ignored. Eventually, it must speak more loudly. I listen when my body whispers so that it does not always have to shout. A break does not need to become another performance. You do not have to optimize every moment of rest. Stand near a window, stretch gently if it is appropriate for your body. Drink something nourishing. Close your eyes for a moment. Walk a short distance without turning the pause into more digital consumption. Let the nervous system experience a few minutes in which nothing is being demanded. The child within you also needs play. If every hour is organized around usefulness, the inner world becomes very serious. Play may be music, color, humor, movement, curiosity, or doing something imperfectly for no reward. You do not need to monetize it, display it, or become excellent at it. Joy does not need to justify the space it occupies in my life. A vacation can also be simple and financially responsible. Rest should not produce months of anxiety because you believed recovery had to look luxurious. Plan according to your actual resources. A nearby journey, an afternoon without work, a day in nature, a quiet visit, or a home-based retreat from usual demands can still restore you. The value lies not only in distance traveled, but in the permission to disengage from constant responsibility. Before a period of rest, decide what you are resting from. Perhaps it is work, decision-making, caretaking, screens, noise, or the pressure to be available. Create a clear beginning and ending so the mind knows it may release the task temporarily. When you return, notice whether thought is clearer and patience more available. I plan rest as part of a wise life, not as an escape from a life I refuse to examine. Time and rest belong together. When you stop racing against the clock, you can notice fatigue before it becomes collapse. When you rest at appropriate intervals, you return to time with greater clarity. Both practices soften the face because the body is no longer living under constant pursuit. Both change the way you enter a room because you are not asking everyone around you to compensate for your depletion. There is a part of you that does not care about achievement, efficiency, or being impressive. It wants to touch color, hear music, laugh unexpectedly, make something imperfect, and enjoy the experience simply because it feels alive. This is the child within you. The inner child is not childishness. It is your capacity for curiosity, wonder, imagination, spontaneity, and joy without a reward attached. When this part is repeatedly ignored, adult life may become very orderly and very empty. You may complete every responsibility correctly and still wonder why nothing feels deeply satisfying. A life filled with accomplishments can still feel unfinished when there is no room for wonder. Many people believe that play is a waste of time for an adult. They allow themselves to do something only if it improves health, earns money, develops a skill, or produces something that can be shown to others. Even leisure becomes another project to optimize. You choose a hobby and immediately ask whether you are good at it. You take a photograph and wonder whether it is good enough to share. You begin to dance and then judge how your body looks. The child within you does not need another evaluator. She needs permission to participate. Think back to what made you feel alive before you learned to measure every activity by usefulness. Did you draw without wondering whether you were talented? Did you sing before you became concerned about your voice? Did you invent stories, arrange tiny objects, climb trees, ride a bicycle, dance in private, build things, collect colors, or watch the same beloved film again and again? What made you forget time before forgetting time became something to feel guilty about? What brought me joy before I learned to perform may still contain medicine for my spirit. Do not worry if you cannot remember. Some childhoods offered very little room for play. You may have carried adult responsibilities too early. You may have learned to remain quiet, useful, or watchful. If so, you are not trying to recover an ideal childhood that never existed. You are giving yourself an experience that was missing. Begin with curiosity. What seems pleasant now? What would I try if no one could grade me? Make one weekly appointment with your inner child. Keep it small enough that it does not become another burden. You might color a page, prepare a meal you loved years ago, ride a bicycle, listen to music and move without watching yourself, make something with your hands, or revisit a story that once comforted you. You may buy yourself one small, meaningful gift within your budget. It is not the expense that matters. It is the message. Your delight has a place in my adult life. During this appointment, resist the urge to turn play into improvement. If you color, the colors do not have to match. If you dance, there is no correct shape. If you cook, the meal does not need to become content. If you make something, it does not have to be sold. Let the experience end without producing evidence of value. Joy is allowed to be complete even when it creates nothing I can display. You may initially feel foolish or restless. The inner child may not trust an invitation that has been withdrawn many times before. Stay gentle. 10 sincere minutes are better than an elaborate plan you resent. Consistency tells this part that pleasure will not always be sacrificed to productivity. Say, the child within me knows how to play, love, and wonder. I make room for that wisdom in my adult life. Another way to keep the heart young is to connect across generations. When we spend time only with people in our exact stage of life, the world can become very narrow. We share the same pressures, cultural references, fears, and assumptions. A child, an older person, or someone living in a different life season may introduce a way of seeing that your usual environment cannot provide. Children can remind you how completely attention can enter a moment. They ask questions adults stopped asking because familiarity made the world invisible. They laugh without first deciding whether laughter is appropriate. They may become fascinated by a shadow, a sound, or an object you would normally walk past. Do not only teach them, listen to the logic of their questions. Let their curiosity reveal where your own perception has become hurried. Connections with children should, of course, occur in safe, responsible, and appropriate settings with family, community, consent, supervision, and clear respect for their well-being. A child is not present to heal the emotional needs of an adult. The gift comes through mutual human presence, not through placing a role upon them. I meet the young with responsibility, respect, and a willingness to rediscover wonder. Older people offer another kind of gift. They have watched problems arrive, change shape, and sometimes lose the importance they once appeared to possess. They carry memories of worlds that no longer exist and may hold a longer view of love, work, family, regret, survival, and change. Do not treat an older person only as someone who needs assistance. They also need opportunities to contribute, remember, teach, laugh, and be listened to. Ask about a decision that changed their life. Ask what they worried about at your age and what now seems less important. Ask what they wish they had enjoyed more. Their answer is not a command for your life, but it may widen the frame around your present problem. Wisdom becomes a living gift when experience is invited to speak. Intergenerational connection offers perspective, playfulness, and legacy. Perspective places today's difficulty inside a larger human journey. Playfulness reminds you that delight does not have an age limit. Legacy asks what qualities you wish to pass forward. Perhaps you want younger people to inherit less shame, greater emotional honesty, more tenderness toward the body, or a healthier understanding of success. You begin creating that legacy through the way you live now. I welcome the laughter, wisdom, and perspective that flow between generations. The fifth expression of inner beauty appears in the way you prepare for sleep. The final minutes of the day matter because they influence the emotional atmosphere in which the mind and body enter rest. If you end every evening with conflict, alarming news, comparison, or an inventory of everything you did wrong, the body carries that activation into bed. You may be physically lying down while the mind remains on duty. This does not mean that one loving thought guarantees perfect sleep or that dreams will answer every question. Sleep is influenced by health, environment, routine, stress, medication, and many other factors. Persistent sleep problems may require appropriate professional care. Yet you can still make the threshold of sleep more supportive. I do not use the last moments of the day to place myself on trial. Choose a point when the day is officially complete. Write down what remains unfinished rather than asking the mind to hold it all night. Reduce stimulating content when possible. Dim the emotional intensity, not only the light. If a conversation is becoming hostile, consider whether it can continue more wisely tomorrow. The night does not need to solve everything the day could not finish. If a problem needs clarity, write 3 sentences. First, the issue I would like to understand more clearly is. Second, what might I not be seeing? Third, what is the simplest, useful step tomorrow? Then close the page. Say, I release this question for the night. My mind may rest, organize, and renew itself without my supervision. Notice the kindness of that sentence. You are not demanding that sleep produce a miraculous answer. You are releasing conscious pressure. Rest sometimes allows information to settle into a clearer arrangement. A problem that felt impossible at midnight may look more manageable after sleep, not because the universe secretly completed it, but because your cognitive and emotional resources have been renewed. When you wake, record a dream, emotion, phrase, or first idea if it feels meaningful. Do not turn every symbol into a prophecy. Dreams may draw upon memory, fear, desire, bodily sensation, and the mind's ordinary processing. Treat them as material for reflection rather than unquestionable instruction. Ask, What feeling does this image bring forward? What concern or longing may it represent? Then return to the facts of waking life. Before sleep, offer the body a final message. This day is complete. I release what I cannot resolve tonight. I go to sleep with loving thoughts, and I welcome the clarity that rest can bring. You do not have to feel perfectly peaceful for the words to be useful. They establish a direction away from accusation and toward restoration. The sixth expression of inner beauty is the choice of relational environments. Human emotional states influence one another. When every conversation revolves around ridicule, helplessness, suspicion, and complaint, you may begin seeing life through the same lens. When you spend time with people who practice honesty, responsibility, humor, and realistic hope, you remember that other responses are possible. The relationships I repeatedly enter become part of the emotional atmosphere in which I live. This does not mean labeling everyone who feels sad as negative. Grief is not bad energy. Depression, fear, anger, and discouragement do not make a person unworthy of companionship. A loving relationship can hold difficulty. The important distinction is how difficulty is handled. A suitable person may be struggling deeply, but they do not demand that you abandon your own stability to prove that you care. They can speak about pain and eventually consider support, information, or possible action when they are ready. They respect your emotional capacity and allow you to say, "I cannot have this conversation now." They listen as well as speak. They do not use intimacy as permission to continually insult, manipulate, or diminish you. A person can be in pain without making pain the price of being close to them. Choose friends by qualities rather than by image or constant agreement. Look for love that becomes visible through concern. Look for honesty that is not used as an excuse for cruelty. Look for humor that creates connection without humiliating someone. Look for people who can take responsibility, apologize, and repair. Welcome encouragement that sees your potential without flattering you into dependence. Choose relationships where both people are free to grow. Ask how you feel after repeated contact. Do you feel more able to be yourself or more compelled to edit yourself? Are your successes welcomed or subtly punished? Can you discuss differences without the relationship becoming a threat? Is support mutual over time? You are not searching for perfect people. You are noticing whether the relationship allows truth, dignity, and development. I surround myself with people who express love, honesty, growth, and mutual support. You may need to reduce time in environments built around chronic mockery or hopelessness. Do this without declaring yourself spiritually superior. You are not better than the people you step away from. You are responsible for the atmosphere you repeatedly inhabit. Sometimes distance is not rejection. It is an adjustment that allows you to remain kind without becoming depleted. The seventh expression of inner beauty appears in your relationship with money. Many people approach money through shame. They avoid looking at numbers, feel punished by every bill, spend to regulate painful emotions, or use purchases to create an image of worth. Then financial life becomes charged with secrecy and fear. Love invites clarity. A bill represents an obligation, but it may also reflect an exchange. The electricity bill is connected to light, cooling, heat, or the tools you used. Rent or a mortgage is connected to shelter. A payment for professional help represents someone's time, skill, and service. Taxes contribute to public systems, even though you retain the right to question how those systems are managed. Recognizing value can reduce the feeling that every payment is something being stolen from you. I can appreciate what money provided while remaining thoughtful about what I spend. Gratitude does not replace financial management. You still need to look at balances, distinguish needs from wants, plan for obligations, and adjust spending when circumstances change. If debt, taxes, investments, or financial distress exceed your knowledge, seek qualified help. An affirmation is not a budget, and optimism is not a payment plan. But shame makes clear action harder, while respect makes information easier to face. Create a simple ritual when paying an obligation. Say, "Thank you for the value I received. I release this money with awareness, and I welcome new income through honest and useful work." Then record the payment. Know what remains. Make the next decision from actual numbers rather than fear. Do not force yourself to be generous when generosity threatens your basic safety. Love for money includes protecting the future. It may mean declining an impulsive purchase, refusing financial pressure, setting aside a small amount, or admitting that an expense no longer fits your resources. It also means not shopping to prove that you are successful, lovable, fashionable, or generous. I manage my finances with gratitude, clarity, and self-respect. Now let us turn toward outer beauty, because the body should not become a project that is never allowed to be complete. Your body does not exist to win a competition. You do not have to compare today's face with the face you had at 20. You do not have to compare your living body with an edited image designed under different lighting, angles, resources, genetics, and circumstances. A comparison without context becomes a weapon. Bodies change through age, hormones, health conditions, sleep, medication, genetics, stress, environment, and the ordinary passage of life. Not every physical change is caused by thought. You are not to blame for illness, aging, injury, or features you did not choose. Loving thoughts can support a kinder relationship with care, but they do not replace medical evaluation or guarantee a particular appearance. My body is not evidence of whether I have thought perfectly. You also do not need to love every feature immediately. If I adore every part of my body feels impossible, begin with recognition. Look into the mirror and say, "This is my face today." Notice the neutrality of the statement. Then say, "This body has carried me through many experiences." Perhaps appreciation can begin before admiration. Try, "I am willing to stop speaking to myself with cruelty." This may be the most important beginning. You can care for a body while learning to accept it. You can choose nourishing food without hating your shape. You can seek treatment without treating the body as defective. You can change clothing, hair, or appearance because expression brings joy, not because your unaltered self is unacceptable. Care does not have to wait for complete acceptance. Beauty is not only seen, it is felt. A person becomes attractive through the attention in their eyes, the respect they show someone who cannot advance their status, and the way they listen when another person speaks. Beauty appears in laughter that does not require a victim. It appears in confidence that does not lower anyone else. It appears in the ease people feel when they are not being evaluated in your presence. This form of beauty cannot be manufactured entirely through appearance. You can style the surface, and there is joy in doing so. But presence creates another dimension. A face softens when it is not continually defending worth. A voice becomes warmer when it does not have to perform importance. The beauty people feel around me grows from the quality of presence I offer. Care for your appearance as an expression of pleasure rather than endless correction. Wear a color that makes you feel alive. Care for your hair and skin as a ritual of contact with the body. Choose clothes that fit the body you have today instead of punishing it with garments intended for a different body. Move in ways appropriate to your health because movement can create connection, strength, mobility, and pleasure, not only because you want to burn away something you hate. Say, "My body is not an apology. It is a living expression of my journey." Allow grooming to become companionship. Touch your face with kindness. Notice what your body has done for you before listing what you want it to change. Beauty care becomes self-love when the person receiving the care is already considered worthy. Now stand before a mirror. Move close enough to see your pupils. Resist the habit of scanning the skin, weight, lines, or proportions. Look into the eyes. Take one breath and recognize how much the person before you has lived through. This is not a stranger. This is the human being who has accompanied every moment of your life. Begin with the first level. I am willing to stop criticizing the way you look. You do not have to leap directly from attack to adoration. End the attack first. If the critical voice appears, say, "That is an old habit. I am practicing another way." Remain before the mirror for 10 seconds without correcting anything. Move to recognition. I see your courage, tenderness, wisdom, and strength. Let one memory support each word. Courage may be the day you began again. Tenderness may be the care you offered someone. Wisdom may be the lesson you finally used. Strength may be the boundary you kept even while feeling sad. Then say, "You are beautiful inside and out. I love and accept you as you are today." If resistance rises, soften the sentence. "I am willing to discover your beauty. I am learning to accept you today." A bridge is more loving than a declaration used to silence honest emotion. Ask, "What would someone who truly loves me see in these eyes?" They might see endurance, humor, sensitivity, curiosity, or a longing to live more freely. Ask how many joys and sorrows this face has expressed. Ask whether you can offer yourself 10 seconds of observation without judgment. I give myself the loving gaze I once waited to receive from others. After mirror work, choose one action that makes life more beautiful. Rest if you are tired. Prepare food that supports you. Wear something you enjoy. Call someone whose presence feels mutual. Play without producing. The mirror affirmation becomes credible when the rest of the day agrees with it. Beauty is affirmed in the mirror and demonstrated in the way I live after I turn away. Create a rhythm rather than another rigid schedule. In the morning, do not begin by comparing your face or life with someone else's. Say, "I have all the time I need for what matters today." Choose one meaningful task, one act of care, and one moment of joy. Let these three create the foundation. During the day, alternate focused effort with appropriate restoration. Pause before attention collapses. Drink water before the body must demand it. Include one moment of play or genuine connection. At night, acknowledge something the body helped you do. Complete or schedule one financial responsibility instead of avoiding it. Leave conversations that make the mind unnecessarily heavy. Offer tomorrow one question and let sleep perform the work that belongs to rest. Each week, meet the inner child. Choose one quality connection. Create a longer period of recovery. Review finances without accusation. Participate in an activity that helps you experience beauty instead of merely trying to look beautiful. This rhythm is not a test. Adjust it according to health, responsibilities, resources, and the season of life. Falling in love with yourself is not only standing before a mirror and declaring that you are beautiful. It is refusing to drive the body into exhaustion. It is respecting time, protecting joy, creating room for play, and choosing relationships in which love moves both ways. It is managing money without humiliation and caring for appearance without making the body an enemy. When you stop treating yourself as a project that must someday become worthy, you meet the living person who has been waiting beneath the corrections. You begin to enjoy rather than continually evaluate. Your beauty becomes visible through presence, kindness, humor, self-respect, responsibility, and peace. I am beautiful inside and out. I honor my time, nourish my body, welcome rest, and protect my joy. I allow the child within me to play, wonder, and create without needing to perform. I welcome the wisdom and laughter that flow between generations. I prepare my mind for restorative sleep, choose relationships built on mutual care, and manage my resources with clarity and respect. My body is not an apology or an unfinished project. I care for my appearance with pleasure, not punishment. My beauty is not measured by perfection. It is expressed through the loving way I live. Let me remind you of something beautiful. You may have been hurt, but you are not broken. Something painful may have entered your life. Someone may have betrayed your trust, abandoned you when you needed them, ignored your needs, or taken advantage of the love you so freely gave. After such an experience, it is natural to feel as though something inside you has shattered. Yet the essence of who you are remains whole. Your ability to love has not disappeared. Your worth has not been reduced. Your future has not been permanently decided by what another person failed to give you. A part of you was wounded, and that part is asking for care, not condemnation. Nothing essential within me was ever broken. A part of me was hurt, and now I am learning to care for it with love and wisdom. Very often, the mind begins overthinking after the heart has experienced something it could not understand. It examines every message, every pause, every change in tone, and every small difference in another person's behavior. It asks, what did they mean? Have I done something wrong? Are they preparing to leave? What am I not seeing? The mind believes that if it examines enough details, it will discover danger before danger can reach you. This is not proof that you are weak or irrational. It may be a protective system working far too hard because there was a time when you were not protected, informed, or reassured. My anxious mind is not my enemy. It is a frightened protector that needs a new way to feel safe. You do not heal by attacking this part of yourself. If you say, "Why can't I stop thinking? What is wrong with me?" you add a second wound to the first one. Now you are not only afraid of what another person may do, you are also being rejected by your own inner voice. My dear, this is the moment to remain with yourself. Place a hand gently over your heart and say, I see that you are frightened. I will not shame you for trying to protect me. We will look at what is true, and we will take care of ourselves together. Your nervous system needs to learn that you are no longer alone with the uncertainty. The loving adult within you is present now. A trigger is not necessarily the whole truth of the present moment. A trigger occurs when something happening now touches a memory, expectation, or wound from before. A person becomes quiet, and your body remembers someone who used silence as punishment. You receive criticism, and suddenly you feel like the child who could never do anything correctly. You are excluded from one gathering, and an old belief whispers that nobody wants you. Someone's manner changes, and your body begins preparing for abandonment. The present experience may be uncomfortable, but your reaction can contain years of emotional history. This feeling is real, but it may be carrying an old story. When you are triggered, the body can react before the thinking mind has gathered all the facts. Your chest may tighten, your stomach may contract, your breathing may become shallow. You may feel an urgent need to send a message, demand reassurance, withdraw completely, or replay every interaction. Do not make yourself wrong for these sensations. First, help the body recognize where it is. Feel your feet making contact with the floor. Look around and name a few objects in the room. Let your exhalation become slightly longer. Then remind yourself of your present age, your present location, and the choices available to you now. Something old has been awakened, but I am living in the present, and I have choices today. Ask yourself 3 grounding questions. First, what is actually happening right now? Describe only what could be observed without adding an interpretation. Perhaps the person has not replied for several hours. That is the current fact. They are tired of me and preparing to leave is a prediction. Second, ask, which part is evidence and which part is fear trying to complete the story? Finally, ask, am I responding to the person in front of me or to someone from my past? These questions do not tell you that everything is fine. They help you stop treating an unverified fear as established reality. I can take my feelings seriously without believing every conclusion they produce. Sometimes your concern will be justified. Perhaps someone truly has become inconsistent. Perhaps their words and behavior no longer match. Perhaps a relationship is asking you to ignore your needs in order to maintain it. Grounding yourself does not mean talking yourself out of what you clearly see. The purpose is to respond from discernment instead of panic. When you are calm enough to separate the present from the past, you can evaluate what is actually happening. You can ask a direct question. You can observe patterns over time. You can establish a limit. You can leave when continued participation requires self-betrayal. Peace does not make me blind. It helps me see without fear distorting the picture. Overthinking is often an attempt to manufacture certainty. The mind says, if I think about this long enough, I will discover the perfect explanation and prevent myself from ever being hurt again. But repeated thinking rarely produces the safety it promises. Instead, one frightening possibility creates another and another, until the mind has built an entire future out of assumptions. You may call this problem solving, but ask yourself whether any new information is being created. Are you arriving at a useful decision, or are you reviewing the same possibilities with increasing distress? More thinking is not always more clarity. When you notice that you are caught in the loop, ask, what do I actually need now? Perhaps you need a fact. If so, look for reliable information. Perhaps you need a conversation. If so, decide what you want to ask without accusation. Perhaps you need to make a decision based on a pattern you have observed for a long time. Perhaps you need to stop checking for one evening and allow the body to rest. Perhaps nothing can be resolved until tomorrow. The mind wants to solve the entire future, but life usually asks only for the next appropriate step. I do not need to resolve every possibility. I need only to meet the reality that is here. You can say, I have thought about this enough for today. Write down what remains unresolved so the mind knows it has not been ignored. Choose when you will return to the issue. Then engage in something that brings you back into your body and your immediate surroundings. Drink water. Take a slow walk. Prepare a nourishing meal. Fold something with your hands. Listen to an ordinary sound without interpreting it. Rest is not avoidance when no useful action is currently available. I am allowed to pause a question that cannot be answered in this moment. There is also an important difference between acknowledging that you were victimized and building your permanent identity around powerlessness. You may truly have been treated unfairly. You may have trusted someone who deceived you. You may have been too young, dependent, isolated, or overwhelmed to protect yourself. Naming this truth is not weakness. You should not be asked to minimize what occurred merely to sound positive. Your pain deserves acknowledgement, and responsibility belongs with the person who made the harmful choice. I refuse to blame myself for another person's decision to harm, deceive, or abandon me. Victim thinking begins when the past becomes proof that you will never have choices again. It says, because this happened, I will always be powerless. It places your entire recovery in the hands of the person who hurt you. If they apologize, perhaps you may heal. If they admit what they did, perhaps you may move forward. If they finally understand your value, perhaps you may feel valuable. But your future cannot remain dependent on the awareness of someone who may never develop it. You did not choose what happened, and you do not have to pretend that you did. Yet today, you can decide what receives continued access to your life. I did not choose what happened to me, but I can choose what is permitted to continue. This choice may begin very quietly. You stop rereading the message that reopens the wound. You ask for support instead of carrying everything alone. You no longer chase an explanation from someone committed to misunderstanding you. You allow yourself to grieve the relationship you hoped for rather than returning to the relationship that exists. You learn what healthy behavior looks like, so familiar pain no longer disguises itself as love. You speak to yourself with the respect you once begged another person to provide. These are not small acts. They are the way you return to yourself. Healing does not mean becoming the same person you were before the pain. Perhaps that earlier version of you was loving but had not learned to protect her energy. Perhaps she confused understanding others with excusing them. Perhaps she remained silent because she feared that honesty would make people leave. Do not heal merely to become available for the same treatment again. Transform. Remain gentle, but become discerning. Remain loving, but include yourself in your love. Remain open, but let consistency earn access to your inner world. I can keep my tender heart without surrendering my wisdom. My dear, anger is not the enemy. Anger often arrives when something within you knows that a line has been crossed. It appears when you have been disrespected, betrayed, dismissed, controlled, or made to feel powerless. It brings energy to the places where you once felt unable to speak. It says, "This mattered. Something was not right. I deserved better than this." So please do not shame yourself for feeling angry. Your anger may have helped you survive a time when sadness felt too vulnerable to touch. It may have stood at the door of your heart when no one else was willing to protect you. My anger is not proof that I am unloving. It is a signal that something important within me needs attention. Yet anger is often a protector, not the deepest wound. If you remain only at the level of anger, you may spend years arguing with what happened without ever reaching the part of you that is still hurting. Anger can keep you moving, but grief asks you to stop. Anger points outward and says, "Look at what they did." Grief turns inward and whispers, "Look at what this cost me." Both voices deserve to be heard. You do not have to choose one and reject the other. You can honor the anger for defending you and then gently ask what it has been guarding. Perhaps beneath your anger is sorrow because you were not loved in the way you needed. Perhaps your trust was broken after you had finally allowed yourself to become vulnerable. Perhaps you feel ashamed that you stayed, returned, believed another promise, or overlooked what now seems obvious. Perhaps you are grieving not only the person, but the future you had imagined with them. Perhaps the deepest fear is that the same experience will happen again, and that you will be unable to protect yourself. These feelings do not make you foolish. They make you human. My anger shows me where I was hurt. My tenderness shows me what now needs healing. Sit somewhere quiet and complete 3 sentences without trying to sound wise or spiritual. First say, "I am angry because." Let the answer be honest. Perhaps you are angry because they lied, because they dismissed your pain, because they asked for loyalty they were unwilling to return, or because you kept giving while they kept taking. Then complete, "This hurts me because." This sentence may lead you beneath the event. It hurts because you wanted to matter. It hurts because you believed you were finally safe. It hurts because you abandoned your own knowing in order to believe their words. Finally complete, what I truly needed then was, perhaps you needed honesty, protection, consistency, reassurance, respect, or permission to leave. Do not use these questions to interrogate yourself. Use them to meet yourself. You are not gathering evidence for a trial against your past. You are allowing a silenced part of you to finish speaking. If tears come, let them come. If nothing comes, do not force it. The body sometimes needs time before it trusts that the listening will continue. Place your hand over your heart and say, "You do not have to reveal everything today. I am willing to listen whenever you are ready." When anger has been present for a long time, you may fear that releasing it means excusing the person who hurt you. It does not. You can stop carrying the emotional fire without deciding that their behavior was acceptable. You can understand your pain without inviting the person back into your life. You can forgive in your own time without restoring trust. The purpose of moving through anger is not to protect the comfort of the person who caused it. The purpose is to free your life from being organized around the wound. I release the burden when I am ready. I do not release the truth. One of the deepest wounds is often self-abandonment. Other people may have disappointed you, but the pain becomes more complicated when you also leave yourself. You abandon yourself when you judge a feeling before asking what it needs. You abandon yourself when your whole body says no and your mouth says yes. You abandon yourself when you continually explain harmful behavior because admitting the truth might require a painful decision. You abandon yourself when you call your needs excessive, inconvenient, or embarrassing. You abandon yourself when you return to an unsafe place merely because loneliness feels unbearable. Self-abandonment can look like love from the outside. You may be endlessly patient. You may give another chance, and then another, and then one more. You may become very skilled at understanding why another person behaves as they do. You may know their childhood wounds, their fears, their pressures, and every reason they cannot treat you well. Yet understanding their pain does not require you to live inside the consequences of it. Compassion for their history must not become cruelty toward your present. I can understand why someone behaves as they do and still decide that the behavior is not acceptable in my life. You also leave yourself when you believe promises while ignoring repeated behavior. Words can be beautiful. Apologies can sound sincere. Intentions can feel convincing. But trust must eventually rest upon what is consistently lived. When words and actions repeatedly disagree, the actions are giving you the clearer information. This does not mean that people cannot change. It means that change must become observable before you build your safety upon it. I listen to words and I trust patterns. Healing begins when you make a new promise. I will not leave myself to keep someone else. Say it slowly. Notice what happens in your body. Perhaps part of you fears that remaining loyal to yourself will cause others to reject you. That fear may come from a time when belonging depended on obedience, silence, or emotional performance. Reassure this part. Say, I do not need to betray my needs in order to deserve connection. The right relationships may require flexibility and compromise, but they will not require the disappearance of your dignity. When pain appears, tell yourself, I believe that I am feeling something important. This does not mean every interpretation is correct. Feelings provide information, but they do not always provide the complete explanation. You can respect a feeling and still examine the facts. You can say, something feels wrong, and I will take time to understand what it is. You can say, I am hurt, and I do not have to make a decision at the peak of this emotion. Believing yourself is not the same as obeying every impulse. It means refusing to dismiss your experience before you have listened. Tell yourself, I will not force myself to be fine before I am ready. You are not required to recover quickly so that other people can avoid discomfort. You may need time to grieve, reflect, sleep, seek support, or adjust to a new reality. Healing is not measured by how rapidly you stop mentioning what happened. It is measured by your growing ability to remain present without being ruled by the wound. Some days will feel peaceful, and then one small event may awaken the old pain. This does not mean that you have returned to the beginning. It means another layer is asking for care. Also, remind yourself, I will choose what protects my long-term self-respect, not only what reduces my loneliness for one evening. Temporary loneliness can tempt you to return to familiar harm. You may miss the person, the routine, the hope, or even the intensity. Missing something does not automatically mean it belongs in your life. A craving for contact can be real without being a trustworthy direction. Stay with the feeling long enough to learn what it is asking for. You may need comfort, companionship, reassurance, touch, or a sense of belonging. Seek the true need without returning to the source that repeatedly wounded it. You are not healing so that you can become exactly who you were before the pain. The earlier version of you may have been loving and sincere, but perhaps that version ignored warning signs. Perhaps you remained too long because you thought endurance proved devotion. Perhaps you confused sacrifice with love and self-erasure with kindness. Perhaps you believed that if you gave enough, understood enough, or forgave quickly enough, someone would finally choose to treat you well. Do not condemn the person you were. She acted with the understanding and emotional resources available to her then. I bless who I was, and I allow myself to become more discerning now. Transformation does not require a hard heart. You do not need to become cold, suspicious, or unreachable in order to be safe. A closed heart may prevent pain, but it can also prevent intimacy, joy, and genuine connection. The goal is not to build a wall against everyone. The goal is to become a wise guardian of your inner life. You can remain compassionate while observing behavior. You can forgive without erasing the facts. You can love another person without removing yourself from the circle of that love. I do not return to who I was. I become wiser without becoming harder. 3 abilities help create this new version of you. The first is discernment. Discernment pays attention to what a person consistently does, not only to what you hope they mean. It looks at patterns over time. It notices how problems are handled, whether responsibility is accepted, and whether repair produces change. Discernment is not cynicism. It does not assume that everyone will hurt you. It simply allows trust to grow at the pace of evidence rather than at the speed of longing. The second ability is self-trust. Self-trust says, "My inner response deserves attention, and I am also willing to check it against reality." You do not dismiss a concern because someone calls you sensitive. You also do not automatically decide that every fear is intuition. You pause. You gather facts. You notice consistency. You consider whether the present situation resembles an old one or truly repeats it. I trust myself enough to feel, question, observe, and decide. Genuine self-trust does not require instant certainty. It gives you permission to remain curious until the truth becomes clearer. The third ability is self-protection. Protection means acting when an important limit has been violated. It may mean naming what occurred, reducing access, leaving a conversation, seeking professional guidance, or ending a relationship. It may also mean protecting your body through rest and appropriate medical or psychological care. Self-protection is not punishment. You are not setting a limit to teach someone a lesson. You are setting it because your well-being is your responsibility now. I protect myself without hatred, and I leave without needing to destroy. Kindness must live beside discernment. Kindness is sacred, but it is not unlimited access to your time, body, attention, home, money, or emotional labor. You can recognize the frightened child within another person while still responding to the adult behavior they choose today. You can understand that someone was wounded without volunteering to become the place where they discharge the wound. You can wish them healing and still say, "You may not treat me this way." Compassion can explain behavior, but it does not require me to accept behavior that repeatedly harms me. Loyalty must also have a living response. Remaining loyal to someone who repeatedly betrays you does not guarantee that they will eventually recognize your value. Unrestricted giving may simply teach another person that they can receive without responsibility. Healthy love contains exchange. It may not be equal in every moment, especially during illness or hardship, but over time there is mutual concern. Both people matter. Both people can speak. Both people participate in repair. I offer loyalty where loyalty is honored, and I offer trust where trust is demonstrated. When evaluating a relationship, ask 4 clear questions. Do the person's words and actions agree? Do they take responsibility when they cause harm? Or do they reverse the blame and make you apologize for being hurt? Does their apology produce changed behavior or merely restart the same cycle? Can you be fully yourself, or must you continually become smaller to preserve peace? Do not answer these questions with the potential you see in the other person. Answer with the behavior you have consistently experienced. I relate to who a person is showing me they are, not only to who I hope they may become. This does not mean one human mistake must always end a relationship. People become tired, misunderstand one another, react poorly, and make choices they regret. A mistake can be acknowledged, repaired, and learned from. What you no longer accept is a clearly identified pattern that continues after honest conversation and reasonable opportunity for change. Deception, humiliation, manipulation, violence, and violations of safety are not ordinary misunderstandings. When there is real danger, prioritize leaving and finding support. You do not owe another opportunity so that you can collect more evidence of what has already become clear. Learn to distinguish a mistake from a pattern. A mistake is named honestly. The person shows concern for its effect, makes amends where possible, and changes the behavior. A pattern is minimized, hidden, justified, or repeatedly blamed upon you. The words may change, but the result remains the same. Danger is different again. Danger asks for protection, distance, and outside help, not prolonged analysis. I may forgive the past, but I do not volunteer to repeat it. You do not need a wall around your heart. You need a door with standards. Honesty is a standard. Respect is a standard. Responsibility is a standard. Consistency is a standard. The door may open gradually as trust grows. It may close when behavior becomes unsafe. A loving heart is allowed to have a wise entrance. My kindness is sacred. I give it freely, but I no longer give it blindly. Now let us create a simple process for the moments when you are triggered. The first step is to stop interpreting. Before you decide what the silence, expression, message, or behavior means, place both feet on the floor. Say, "Something within me has been activated. I do not have to decide what it means yet." This sentence creates space between sensation and conclusion. You are not denying the trigger. You are delaying the story until you are calm enough to see more clearly. The second step is to help the body return to the present. Loosen your jaw. Allow your shoulders to drop. Breathe in naturally and let the exhalation last a little longer. Look around and name 5 things you can see. Feel the support beneath your body. Remind yourself where you are and what day it is. If you are physically safe, say, "In this moment, I am here. In this moment, I can pause." Your body may still be activated, and that is all right. The goal is not instant calm. The goal is enough steadiness to prevent fear from taking complete control. The third step is to separate facts, story, and need. Write down what actually happened. They have not replied since this morning is a fact. They have lost interest and will abandon me. is the story fear may be telling. Then identify the need. Do you need information, reassurance, distance, a direct conversation, more time to observe, a decision based upon an established pattern? When I separate the event from the story, I recover the ability to choose. The fourth step is to respond instead of reacting. Ask directly rather than constructing an entire explanation in your mind. Wait until your body is steadier before sending an important message. Avoid making life-changing decisions during the highest point of emotional activation unless immediate safety requires action. If genuine danger is present, leave the situation and seek assistance. Calmness is not required before protecting yourself. But when no immediate danger exists, a pause can prevent the old wound from speaking in place of your present wisdom. The fifth step is to stay with yourself afterward. Do not become ashamed because you were triggered. Do not call yourself too sensitive, difficult, or damaged. Ask what helped you return. Notice what remained unclear. Decide how you would like to respond if something similar occurs again. Every trigger can offer information about your history, your needs, and your growing capacity. Every trigger is an invitation to understand myself, not an order to abandon myself. Now go to a mirror if you can. Look directly into your eyes, not at your appearance. Look at the person who has survived every ending, every uncertainty, and every lonely night. Say slowly, "I see the pain you have been carrying." Pause and allow yourself to receive the words. Then say, "You did what you knew how to do in order to survive. I do not blame you for the love you wanted. I will no longer silence your feelings to protect someone else's comfort." Continue. "I trust myself to recognize what is healthy. I am allowed to leave what repeatedly harms me. You are not broken. You are healing, learning, and becoming free. If I love you feels impossible. Do not turn mirror work into another performance. Begin with a statement your body can receive. I am willing to stay with you today. Say it each morning for a week. Let staying become an action. Eat when you need nourishment. Rest when you are depleted. Tell the truth when something matters. Keep one small promise to yourself. Love becomes believable when it is demonstrated. Peace does not arrive only when the world becomes predictable. The world may never offer complete certainty. Peace also grows when you trust that you will respond to what reality reveals. You do not need to analyze every possible future when you know that you will not ignore consistent behavior. You do not need to rehearse every form of betrayal when you trust yourself to act if trust is violated. You do not need to remain hypervigilant when the adult within you has become willing to protect the vulnerable part within you. I become calmer when I know that I will not abandon myself. Let anger guide you toward the wound. Let the wound reveal the need. Let the need guide you toward a self-respecting choice. This is how emotional pain becomes wisdom without becoming hardness. This is how you remain kind without remaining available for harm. This is how you love again without disappearing inside love. If anxiety or overthinking continues for a long time, seriously disturbs sleep, limits daily life, or makes you feel unable to cope, seeking help from a qualified mental health professional is an act of self-love. You do not have to untangle every wound alone. Support does not take your power away. Wise support helps you use your power with greater clarity. Take one slow breath and affirm, I am not broken. I am releasing the fear, grief, anger, and self-abandonment I have carried for too long. I honor my feelings without allowing every fear to become a prophecy. I listen to words, trust consistent behavior, and choose relationships that respect my whole being. I remain compassionate without excusing repeated harm. I forgive when I am ready, and I do not volunteer to repeat the past. I no longer leave myself to keep another person. I am becoming wiser without becoming harder. I stay beside myself in pain, uncertainty, loneliness, and change. I am safe with myself, and peace is returning to me now. This video will help you end the invisible war within yourself and bring every frightened, tired, and hopeful part of you back onto the same side. Perhaps one part of you wants to move forward while another tells you to delay. One part longs to be loved while another searches constantly for evidence that you are unworthy. You may call the resistant part lazy, weak, or self-destructive, but it is not truly your enemy. It is often an old protective voice created by fear of failure, judgment, rejection, or unfamiliar change. Each time you insult yourself in order to improve, you become both the attacker and the person being attacked. The body does not know which side to defend. It only receives the message that danger exists within. Healing does not begin when one part of you finally defeats another. It begins when all parts are invited into understanding and guided by mature love. I do not need to destroy my former self. I need to understand its fear and lead it toward a wiser choice. The frightened ego is not an evil force that must be eliminated. It is more like a frightened child who took control of the vehicle without knowing the road. It remembers shame, painful mistakes, and moments when being visible led to rejection. So it says, do not try. You may fail. Wait until you are perfect, or remain small so no one can judge you. Criticism is the method it learned to use for protection. Perhaps remaining unnoticed once felt safer than being seen. Thank this part for trying to protect you, but do not allow it to continue directing your whole life. Criticism never changes a thing. Fear may need to be heard, but love must now become the leader. Your authentic self speaks differently. It does not humiliate, threaten, or insist that your worth depends upon flawless performance. It may ask you to do something difficult, but its direction is usually simple. Tell the truth, leave what harms you, begin the task, rest the body, or try again. Inner wisdom does not promise that every decision will be comfortable. It reminds you that you can face discomfort without abandoning yourself. When fear appears, do not shout, be quiet. Ask, what are you trying to protect me from? Then ask whether the danger is actually present or merely resembles an old experience. Finally ask, what can the adult within me do so that we feel supported enough to continue? Every part of me is welcome, but love now leads my life. Another source of inner conflict is the language of should, must, and not enough. You tell yourself, I should be more successful by this age. I must be thinner to be loved. Or, I cannot make another mistake. These sentences create an idealized person and use that image to punish the real. person who is living today. Have you noticed how heavy a task becomes when shame is attached to it? The mind may avoid the task because avoidance temporarily reduces pain. Then you label the avoidance laziness and attack yourself again. Procrastination is not always a lack of willpower. Sometimes it is resistance to an internal supervisor who never offers encouragement. You don't have to immediately be perfect. Learning becomes easier when mistakes are no longer treated as evidence of personal failure. Replace commands with conscious choice and responsibility. Instead of "I have to exercise," say, "I choose to move because my body deserves support." Replace "I should be more successful" with "I will identify one meaningful step." Instead of "I must never fail," say, "I allow myself to learn through experimentation." Replace "I should have known better" with "I acted from the awareness I had then. Today I understand more." This language does not remove responsibility. It creates an atmosphere in which responsibility can be practiced without shame. I release the person I was supposed to be and support the person I am becoming. You are more likely to move when the next step is offered as loving participation rather than punishment. The body can become the place where this unresolved conflict is experienced. Persistent self-criticism may contribute to ongoing stress and influence. Sleep, breathing, muscle tension, self-care behavior, and how discomfort is perceived. But we must never claim that one specific thought directly created one specific illness. Health conditions can involve genetics, infection, injury, environment, aging, and many other complex factors. You are not at fault because your body is struggling. Self-love can support your relationship with health, but it does not replace necessary medical evaluation or treatment. You are not a bad person for thinking the way you do. Healing language must never become another source of blame. Do not punish the body for changing. Do not call it ugly because it has aged. Hate it because it hurts, or force it into exhaustion to meet an external standard. The body does not need another battle. It needs attentive listening, practical support, and appropriate professional care. Instead of asking, "What is wrong with my body?" ask, "What might my body need from me now?" The answer may be rest, movement, nourishment, comfort, medical attention, or a reduction in unnecessary demands. My body is not my enemy. I listen to it with respect and support it with loving, appropriate care. Partnership allows you to remain hopeful without denying reality. Blame and self-condemnation create another internal division. Your family, environment, former partner, employer, or larger social system may have affected your life in real and painful ways. Acknowledging that influence is honest. It is not weakness. But if all power remains permanently in their hands, your future depends upon their apology, understanding, or change. You may wait for years for someone else to release you. When you blame another, you give your own power away. This does not mean that they are innocent. It means you deserve access to your present choices, even when they never take responsibility. The opposite extreme is placing all blame upon yourself. Mature responsibility does not mean accepting guilt for what someone else did to you. You were not responsible for being mistreated, neglected, betrayed, or harmed. You are responsible now for seeking support, creating safety, setting limits, and choosing what helps you heal. Responsibility does not say everything was my fault. It says, wherever this began, the next step belongs to me. Responsibility is making a conscious choice of how you will respond. This distinction restores power without rewriting the truth. Separate the situation into 3 layers. First, not mine, the behavior, choices, and accountability of other people. Second, it affected me, the emotions, beliefs, and consequences you now carry. Third, within my power today, how you care for yourself, what support you seek, what you allow, and what future you begin building. You can return another person's responsibility without denying the impact upon you. You can acknowledge the impact without making it your permanent identity. Then say, I release blame without denying the truth. I reclaim the power to choose what happens next. The inner war ends gradually, through many moments in which you refuse to attack yourself. Fear speaks, and you listen without surrendering leadership. A should appears, and you translate it into a conscious choice. The body asks for care, and you respond instead of criticizing. The past explains what affected you, but today's responsibility guides what comes next. Be gentle and kind and patient with yourself. You are not trying to destroy any part of who you are. You are teaching every part that it is finally safe to be guided by love. I would like you to begin with a very simple experiment. For the next 24 hours, do not deliberately insult, ridicule, or threaten yourself. This does not mean that every critical thought will disappear. The old voice may still say, "You are useless," "You always ruin everything," or "You will never change." Your task is not to wrestle the thought to the ground. A fight against criticism can become another form of criticism. Simply recognize the voice and refuse to supply it with more ammunition. Say, I hear the old criticism and I choose not to continue it. Then add, I am ending the war with myself. You do not need to win the argument. You need only decline to carry it forward. During this ceasefire, learn to distinguish evaluation from attack. Evaluation says, I did not prepare sufficiently for that conversation. Attack says, I am a useless person who can never do anything correctly. Evaluation identifies behavior that can be examined and changed. Attack turns one behavior into a verdict about your entire identity. Evaluation asks what happened, what was needed, and what can be done next. Attack creates shame and leaves no constructive direction. Criticism never changes a thing. You may frighten yourself into temporary compliance, but you do not create a loving, sustainable relationship with growth. Suppose you missed a deadline. The old response may be, you are lazy and unreliable. During the ceasefire, replace it with facts. I underestimated the time, became distracted, and did not ask for help soon enough. Now you have information. You can apologize, renegotiate, change the schedule, reduce distractions, or begin earlier next time. Say, this mistake needs correction. It does not need to be used to destroy me. You are not avoiding consequences. You are removing humiliation from the process of taking responsibility. Perhaps you spoke harshly to someone. Self-love does not say, it does not matter because I must accept myself. It says, My behavior caused harm, and I can repair what is possible without withdrawing love from myself. You apologize clearly, listen to the impact, and change the pattern. Shame says, I am bad, so there is no point trying. Responsibility says, I behaved badly in that moment, and I am capable of another choice. Responsibility is making a conscious choice of how you will respond. Accountability becomes stronger when it is not tangled with self-destruction. Keep a small mark on paper each time you catch an attack. Do not record it to prove how negative you are. Record the moment of recognition, because recognition is the beginning of change. At the end of 24 hours, count how many times you interrupted the old pattern. Perhaps you caught it twice, perhaps 20 times. Every interruption matters. You cannot insult yourself into becoming a more loving person. The ceasefire is successful whenever you stop one bullet that would otherwise have been fired inward. Next, write down the judgment you hear most frequently. Perhaps it says, I never finish anything. I am too sensitive. No one truly wants me. Or, I must be perfect to have value. Write the sentence exactly as it appears, then read it slowly and notice whether it sounds like your natural voice or like something learned. Many beliefs enter consciousness before we are old enough to evaluate them. A parent, teacher, sibling, religious authority, or frightened caregiver may have spoken from their own limitations. Your beliefs are merely habitual thinking patterns that you learned as a child. A belief can be familiar without being true. Ask, who first spoke to me this way? You may remember one person, a family atmosphere, or no specific source at all. Then ask, how old was I when I began believing this? A 6-year-old cannot examine criticism with adult perspective. The child assumes that powerful adults know the truth. Next ask, how did believing this help me remain safe or accepted? Perhaps, I am too sensitive taught you to hide feelings in a family that could not tolerate emotion. Perhaps perfectionism helped you avoid punishment. Perhaps believing no one would stay prevented you from becoming vulnerable. The belief may have caused pain and still have served a protective purpose at the time. Finally ask, did the person who gave me this message truly understand who I was? They may have seen one behavior and turned it into an identity. They may have been exhausted, frightened, or repeating what was said to them. Understanding their limitation does not erase the effect upon you. It helps you stop treating their perception as an eternal authority. Say, this belief may have entered through someone else's fear, but it does not belong in my future. I release it now. You do not have to condemn the person in order to end the inheritance. Imagine placing the belief outside your body. You might write it on another piece of paper and say, this sentence traveled through my family, but it will not travel through me any farther. Do not destroy the paper if that feels too dramatic. Simply place it aside as evidence of something you no longer need to obey. Then write a replacement that is honest and supportive. I never finish anything might become. I am learning to complete one meaningful task at a time. I am too sensitive, may become. My sensitivity gives me information, and I am learning to use it wisely. No one wants me may become. I am available for relationships that recognize and reciprocate my love. A new belief needs repetition and lived evidence, not force. Do not worry if the old sentence returns. It has traveled the same mental route for years. Each time it appears, say, "I know where you came from, and I no longer mistake you for my identity." Then practice the replacement through one action. Complete a small task, honor an emotion, or move toward a reciprocal connection. A thought can be changed. Change becomes more believable when thought and behavior begin supporting each other. Behind many difficult behaviors is a younger part trying to prevent an old pain. The part that procrastinates may fear failure and exposure. The angry part may fear humiliation or being ignored. The people-pleasing part may believe disagreement leads to abandonment. The perfectionist may believe mistakes cause love to disappear. If you see only the behavior, you may attack it. If you recognize the fear beneath it, you can offer guidance. Be gentle and kind and patient with yourself. Gentleness allows the frightened part to stop defending itself long enough to learn something new. When you notice a strong reaction, ask, "How old does this feeling seem?" You may be an adult in the present, but the panic may feel 6 years old. Place a hand over your heart and say, "It is all right. We made a mistake." Tell the younger part, "A mistake does not make you a bad person." Remind it, "We are safe enough to look at what happened." Then make a promise. "I will not abandon you when things become difficult. We will repair what can be repaired together." These words create a different inner authority, one that protects without terrorizing. Reparenting yourself does not mean indulging every feeling or avoiding responsibility. A loving adult does not allow a child to do anything simply because the child is upset. A loving adult listens, explains, provides limits, and follows through. If you behaved poorly, you still apologize. If a task matters, you still complete it. If a habit is harmful, you still create a structure to change it. The difference is that correction comes from dignity instead of disgust. I can hold myself accountable without withdrawing my love. Love remains present while behavior is adjusted. Imagine how this might sound in daily life. Instead of, "Why have you ruined this again?" say, "Something did not work. Let us understand why." Instead of, "You are so lazy," say, "We are avoiding this task. Is it unclear, overwhelming, frightening, or physically exhausting?" Instead of, "You should know better," say, "We understand more now," and the next choice can reflect that understanding. Your language teaches the nervous system whether mistakes lead to learning or emotional exile. I forgive myself for not knowing what I had never been taught. Forgiveness opens the door to instruction. Then prove your reliability through action. If you promise the body rest, do not wait until complete collapse. If you say you will leave what repeatedly harms you, begin making a safe and practical plan. If you promise to seek help, contact an appropriate person. If you tell the younger part that its feelings matter, make time to listen rather than silencing it with constant activity. Trust grows when the adult self becomes consistent. I am now the loving, steady, and trustworthy presence I once needed. Your younger self does not need perfect parenting from you. It needs dependable repair. Now stand before a mirror if you can. Look into your pupils rather than inspecting the shape of your face or searching for something to correct. Meet the person who has accompanied you through every age, mistake, loss, achievement, and beginning. You may feel awkward, emotional, irritated, or tempted to look away. All of these responses are welcome. The mirror reveals the relationship you already have with yourself. It does not create the discomfort. It makes the discomfort visible enough to be healed. Mirror work is simple and very powerful. Say your name slowly, then speak these words. I am no longer fighting you. We are on the same side now. I forgive you for not knowing what you had never been taught. I love you, and I will prove that love through the way I live. Pause after each sentence. Notice which statement you can receive and which one feels difficult. Do not rush to make the exercise look spiritual. Honesty matters more than performance. If I love you, create strong resistance. Do not force it. Begin with something closer to your present truth. I am willing to stop being cruel to you. You may say, I am willing to learn how to respect you, or I am willing to remain with you today. Willingness is not a lesser form of healing. It is an honest beginning that the mind can accept. I am willing to learn to love myself. Repeat it until the possibility feels less foreign. The mirror declaration must end with one concrete commitment. Ask, how will I demonstrate peace with myself today? Perhaps you will let the body rest at an appropriate time. Perhaps you will complete something you promised yourself. You may stop contacting a person or place that continually reopens harm. You may ask for help, prepare a nourishing meal, schedule an appointment, or speak a truth that has been held inside. Love is never outside ourselves. Love is always within us. Inner love becomes visible through outer choices. Return to the mirror during difficult moments, not only when you feel calm. If something unpleasant happens, look into your eyes and say, I love you anyway. Events come and go. Approval comes and goes. Success and disappointment come and go. The relationship you build with yourself can remain. You are teaching yourself, nothing that happens today will make me emotionally abandon you. That is the foundation of peace. Peace with yourself does not mean that you stop growing, working, or correcting harmful habits. It means that hatred is no longer the fuel for change. Love says, you deserve a good life. Discipline responds, I will protect that life through consistent choices. Discipline is not an internal voice screaming at you. It is the ability to do what matters even when the emotion of the moment is not enthusiastic. I only give out that which I wish to receive. Give your future self the consistency you hope life will give you. Build discipline through structure rather than punishment. Choose a waking time you can sustain rather than creating an extreme routine that collapses after 3 days. Complete one important task before allowing distractions to divide your attention. Keep one small promise to yourself. Establish one clear limit with an activity, person, or habit that repeatedly drains your energy. Small structures reduce the number of decisions you must make while tired or emotional. I am a capable person, and I can handle anything that comes my way. Capability is strengthened by agreements you can realistically keep. Self-love without discipline can become avoidance disguised as kindness. You may say, I am honoring myself, while continually postponing work that protects your future. But discipline without love becomes punishment. You force the body, demand perfection, and call exhaustion commitment. The mature relationship combines both. Ask, what supports me now and what will support me later? Sometimes the answer is rest. Sometimes it is completing the task. I am loving and disciplined. I care for my present self and protect my future self. Responsibility is another expression of peace. Stop waiting for an apology before allowing yourself to live. Stop waiting for perfect circumstances before beginning the next appropriate step. Stop asking a person without the capacity to recognize your value to become the authority who finally confirms it. Life does not guarantee that every situation will be fair, but you can still decide what continues in your world. Each morning ask, which part of my life is waiting for me to take responsibility today? The answer may involve money, health, work, relationships, or the way you speak to yourself. Responsibility does not say that everything is your fault. It separates what belongs to others from what belongs to you now. Another person remains responsible for their behavior. Your past circumstances may have limited what you could choose then. Today, however, you may possess options that were not available before. I reclaim the power to choose what happens next. Power may look like asking for help rather than solving everything alone. Be prepared for discomfort when your choices begin changing. When you stop pleasing everyone, guilt may appear. When you allow yourself to be visible, fear of judgment may rise. When you rest, an old voice may call you lazy. When you choose differently from your family, you may feel disloyal. These emotions do not automatically mean that you are making the wrong choice. Sometimes they indicate that your nervous system is leaving what is familiar. When you first begin doing something new, it never feels right. New can feel strange before it feels natural. Learn to distinguish the discomfort of growth from the discomfort of danger. Growth discomfort may include nervousness, uncertainty, or guilt. Yet beneath it, you sense that you are respecting yourself. You remain free to choose, speak, pause, and reconsider. Danger involves threats, coercion, humiliation, violence, or genuine loss of safety. You do not need to remain in danger to prove your courage. Seek help and protection when needed. It is safe for me to speak up for myself. Courage includes leaving what is harmful. Suppose you set a healthy boundary and immediately feel guilty. Ask, did I do something harmful, or did I merely do something unfamiliar? If you communicated respectfully and protected a legitimate need, the guilt may be an old alarm. Let it exist without rushing to erase the boundary. Say, I can feel discomfort without turning against myself. The body learns through experience that saying no does not make you cruel. Suppose you begin a meaningful project and fear being judged. Do not wait for the fear to disappear before working. Give the fear a smaller role. Say, you may sit beside me, but you may not control my hands. Complete 1 page, 1 email, 1 application, or 1 hour of practice. I am willing to learn. Action teaches the frightened part that visibility can be survived. If resting creates discomfort, establish a clear and reasonable period of rest rather than collapsing indefinitely or refusing to pause at all. Say, for 30 minutes, I am allowing the body to restore itself. Then I will reassess what is needed. This gives both love and discipline a place. You can be relaxed and still handle whatever you need to handle. Rest and responsibility can cooperate. Let this become your affirmation for the transition. I can feel discomfort without turning against myself. I remain loving, disciplined, and free. You do not need comfort at every moment in order to remain faithful to yourself. You need enough inner safety to choose rather than react. Making peace with yourself does not mean that you stop correcting mistakes, developing skills, completing responsibilities, or changing harmful habits. It means you no longer use self-hatred as the engine of improvement. The frightened ego is not expelled. It is placed into the care of your mature self. The body is not punished. It is listened to and supported appropriately. The past is not denied. It is returned to its proper time. Our ability to change and adapt and flow with the process of life is our healing power. Change no longer requires an enemy. You and the person you want to become are not standing on opposite battlefields. Your future self is not disgusted with you. That person exists because you are willing to take the next step today. They need your honesty, discipline, courage, and care not your destruction. I support the person I am becoming by loving the person I am today. The present self is not an obstacle. It is the only self who can make the next choice. There will still be difficult days. You may criticize yourself, procrastinate, become reactive, or return to an old relationship with shame. The appearance of an old pattern does not restart the war unless you choose to attack yourself for having it. Recognize it, understand what activated it, repair what is necessary, and begin again. I am in the process of positive changes. A process contains repetition and many opportunities for return. Tonight, review the day without putting yourself on trial. Ask where you remained on your own side. Notice one moment when you interrupted criticism, traced an old belief, comforted a frightened part, kept a promise, or moved through discomfort without abandonment. Praise that moment. Then identify one repair for tomorrow. Praise yourself as much as you can. Encouragement creates energy for continuation. Now place one hand over your heart and repeat. The war within me is over. I release criticism, blame, shame, and the demand to be perfect. Every part of me now belongs on the same loving team. I accept responsibility without punishment, discipline myself without cruelty, and move through discomfort without abandonment. I am safe with myself, I am healing, I am free. Let these words become a commitment rather than another standard you must perform perfectly. Peace is renewed whenever you choose not to fire the next shot. It is renewed when truth replaces insult, responsibility replaces blame, and discipline joins hands with love. You do not have to destroy yourself to transform your life. You need only remain on your own side while you learn a better way.